Hey guys, my name is Steve Guttenberg and I am the Audiophiliac, and today is the all Grado show because I'm going to do not one, but two Grado reviews. First, the RS-1X headphone, which features their 4th generation headphone driver, and also the Grado Platinum3 phono cartridge, which is part of their timbre series line. Actually, Grado has been building their phono cartridges here in Brooklyn since 1953. Talk about a long run. And also their headphones, they've been making them here since about 1990 or so. Now I've been to their factory. I'll link to their factory, to my factory tour, which is fascinating because it's just so hands-on the way they actually build their products. But anyway, I'm here today to talk about, well, let's start with the RS-1X. It also has a lot of wood, actually 3 different types of wood in the ear cup. And I'll show you the layers here. So the inside layer that's closer to your ear, that's maple wood. The middle is hemp, and the outer part, that's the outside of the headphone, is cocobolo. Really beautiful, beautiful wood. And the woods are chosen to basically tune the sound of the driver. That's kind of the magic of the way Grado designs headphones. And by the way, the drivers, the left and right drivers, are matched within 0.05 dB for the pair. Now, the headphone itself looks not terribly different than the previous models, but, oh, it does have a leather headband, which they did then, but the cable is new. It's a new braided cable, which you can have terminated either with an XLR balance cable or the standard which is 3.5 millimeter with a 6.3 millimeter adapter plug. So the cable is sadly not detachable. That is something that's been going on since Grado's been making headphone, is non-detachable cables. Because John Grado feels that that cable was chosen for its sound. You're buying the complete package. So unless you want to go in there and fiddle and change the cable, you're going to use John's cable, whether you, I was going to say whether you like it or not. But that's the way it comes, and that's the way I certainly listen to it, and I think that's the way most people that buy Grado headphones listen, with the standard cable. But the cable itself is kind of stiff. It softens up as you use it, but it is a stiffer than average cable. As for the 4th generation driver, it's been upgraded with a double strength magnet, a lighter voice coil, and a revised diaphragm. So it's pretty much an entirely new design. So I also want to point out the headphone is an open-backed headphone. You hear the world around you, and the world around you can hear the sound coming out of the headphones. But it is, even as open backs go, an unusually open-sounding headphone. And it is also unusually light. I don't know the exact number. I think it's 7 ounces, but don't quote me on that. It feels light. It's very easy to wear. You don't feel weighted down by the headphone. Although the ear clamping pressure is on the high side, but you can, bend the headband a bit to make it less high pressure. The headband, by the way, is covered with real leather, but the padding is on the thin side. It's not a thickly padded headband. But even so, I think comfort levels are pretty good. The headphone sensitivity is unusually high. You could easily drive this headphone with your cell phone, and I did, using my iPhone 11 Pro to play music over it, and it sounded really fine, no problem. So you don't need an external amplifier to get music out of the RS-1X. Of course, it will sound better with a dedicated headphone amplifier. The price is $750. And speaking of important things to mention, yes, there will be an Audiophiliac viewer system of the day at the conclusion of today's show. So for my listening test, I use pretty much just one headphone amplifier, the Monoprice Liquid Platinum, designed by Alex Scavelli, a very serious headphone amp guy. Anyway, that was the main amp. And the other thing is, Grado headphones take their time in terms of breaking in. I would say at least 100 hours is required before you get a real feel for what the headphone can do. So what I did, I ran it 24 hours a day just playing radio through it at a medium loud level. And yeah, so 4 or 5 days when I started really paying attention to what it sounded like. And I was eager to compare it to my Grado RS-1, the original RS-1 model, which is about 15 or 16 years old. Now that model, the original, sounds actually pretty warm and sweet and mellow. Now I'm sure it's fully broken in. I'm sure there's many thousands of hours on the original RS-1. And when I switched over to the RS-1X, it was not subtle. So we're comparing basically the original first generation driver to the fourth generation driver, plus everything that John Grado has learned in between. The new model is significantly more transparent, significantly more alive and dynamic, and the bass is tighter and faster. Both headphones are incredibly open and spacious. You never get the feeling that the sound is, crowded inside your head. Now these are very open sounding headphones. The old one and the new one are equally open sounding. I still really, really love that original RS-1. Now I was playing Amy Winehouse live at the BBC, and I'm thinking, man, that woman could sing. And just what she's putting into the music and the way you really feel that the words that she's singing, like "You Know I'm No Good," really, she's feeling it. And you just sense that over a great system, or in this case, a great headphone. So yeah, we were off to a good start. And the RS-1X is a very lively sounding headphone. It's almost like the Klipsch horn speaker equivalent in headphones. They have similar traits, They are not trying to be the most neutral or accurate sounding headphones. No, or speakers. No, they have this live quality that the people who like Grado products love. That's what it's all about. That's what they're shooting for, and that's what you get. For the first comparison, with a non-Grado headphone, I selected the Audeze LCD2 phaser. Now that headphone is about $995, so it's a fair comparison. It's a big, heavy, planar magnetic headphone, and I was listening to this Leonard Bernstein recording. It's an old recording of A Soldier's Tale, the Stravinsky piece. So the LCD2 had a softer, sweeter presentation than the RS-1X. The RS-1X is kind of like, yeah, let's go. It's like all about forward momentum and excitement and energy. And the LCD2 was like, oh, let's take our time here. We're in no rush. It was kind of the difference between these two headphones. The LCD2 has a thing that it does. And by the way, though it's an open headphone, it's nowhere open and spacious as the RS-1X is. And string tone, yeah, I think the LCD2 was just prettier sounding. It was more rounded and soft. And the RS-1X had more edge to it, definitely. This new Eric Clapton album, The Lady in the Balcony, is an all-acoustic affair. Gorgeous. Oh my God, it's just so present, so real, so natural. And Layla, which, I'm sort of tired of that song, but it's so well played. It's just so perfect. He's not trying to recreate what he did, 50 years ago. And hearing it in this very relaxed acoustic setting, I don't know. Eric is actually playing his ass off. So I had a good time with the RS-1X. That one was, it was more like being there, seeing through the recording process back to the original event. So I'm not going to give you example after example. Let's just leave it at this. The RS-1X with the right recording gives you that you are there type of experience. And going to other headphones like a Sennheiser HD600 is more laid back, more relaxed, softer in its presentation. So we're going soft and sweet and relaxed versus the RS-1's, here you are, here it is, and you're feeling it. Now, I don't want to say that that's for everybody's taste. I don't know that everybody wants that type of, let's say, intimacy to the sound. So that's what you get with the RS-1X is vivid. Let's just conclude with vivid. Oh yes, I should also cover the bass mid-range treble balance. The bass is detailed and clear and does go deep, but it's not full. It's not a rich, sumptuous bass. Mid-range is very clear, and you feel, especially with singers, you feel what they're singing, and I think that's just remarkable. And the top end is, I would say, a tad bright, but very clear, very detailed, very open sounding. And again, that wide open sound stage is its own attraction right there. For people who are into imaging, this headphone images very, very well. Moving on to the Platinum 3 phono cartridge. One thing that caught my attention right away is that Grados sells this cartridge in 3 versions: a low output version, a high output version, and also a mono. And by the way, all 3 are the same price, and that is $400. Now, this new cartridge has, I think, the main thing to take away in terms of the design was that the coils of the cartridge itself are potted to minimize the vibration of individual strands of the coil as you're playing music. John stressed that that was an important upgrade to this cartridge design. Also, it's also a very large cartridge. I don't know if you can get a sense of how big that wood body is, but it is massive. And he uses the mass to basically control the resonance and tune the sound of the cartridge itself. So it's the whole package you're listening to, not just the stylus and the groove and the cantilever and the coils and the magnets. No, it's also the body itself. That wood body is contributing to this sound. And the cartridge comes in a wood case. Oh, I will put up complete specs, and as I'm doing that, I will mention the price is, I think I said that earlier, $400. Oh, and warranty for the headphone and for the cartridges is 1 year. So moving ahead with the phono cartridge, the Grado Platinum3, I decided to do a bunch of comparisons, starting with the Audiophiliac 2M Blue, the MoFi Master Tracker, the Denon Zoo 103, which is a moving coil cartridges. All the others are moving magnet or moving iron. We'll get to that later. And for the phono preamp, I used the MoFi Studio Phono. Now, the Audiophiliac 2M Blue is a massively popular cartridge. I know lots of you out there have this cartridge. And I'm listening to it thinking, this is a nice cartridge. It's very, very, very easy to listen to. It's very sweet, it's very smooth. But compared to the Platinum 3, the Platinum 3 has just more get up and go. I was listening to this one, the Neville Brothers Yellow Moon album. What a great record. And yeah, with the 2M Blue, the sound was there, but the band seemed a bit listless by comparison to what I was getting with the Platinum 3. The bass tightened up, was a little faster, more nimble sounding with the Platinum 3. The vocals had more emotional connection over the Platinum 3. The top end was more open and spacious and detailed. Now, I would say that the overall balance of the Platinum 3 is on the warm side of neutral. I want to be clear about that. Now, I was using the low output version of the Platinum 3, but you can use it with almost, well, any phono preamp that has at least 48, 50 dB of gain, you'll be fine. So don't get too nervous about the low output version. I didn't have the high output version to compare it against, though I did have a Platinum 2, which was the high output version. Not to confuse you, no, I would never want to do that. And yes, I would say everything about the Platinum 3 just had a little more life to it than the Platinum 2. The Platinum 2 was a tiny bit more reserved, and I just liked the extra energy I was getting out of the Platinum 3. Otherwise, I think they're actually very similar. No surprise. When I played Talking Heads' Fear of Music, their 3rd album with Brian Eno producing, Life During Wartime, yikes. The energy, the rhythms coming off of that band in those days were amazing. And that kind of energy, that kind of power really shone over the Platinum 3. And then I played, as a comparison to the Platinum 3, the MoFi Master Tracker. And that cartridge, which is $800 basically, $795, definitely had even more energy, more life, more like a moving coil, a really good moving coil. A lot of fun, a lot of power coming off of the Master Tracker, but it didn't seem as musical as the Platinum 3. The Platinum 3 just seemed to ground the music in a really palpable way, and the Master Tracker was all about flash and energy and excitement. So I like them both, but I like them for very different reasons. Next up was the Zoo Denon 103, which is a moving coil cartridge modified by Zoo, the speaker company. That one is closer to the Platinum 3 in a lot of ways, in terms of its sweetness of tone and just pulling beauty out of the grooves of the records. And I was playing this Frank Sinatra record, the one that he did with Duke Ellington, and his voice, Frank's voice, just sounds so human, so complete over both of these cartridges. But I would say that the Platinum just gave me a little more, this stuff, more tangible, more texture to the sound of the band playing, the orchestra, just had more light, a little bit more life to it over the Platinum than it did over the Denon 103, the Zoo Denon 103. So I just want to throw this one other thought in. You know, before I started working on this review, before I listened to either, I was expecting that there would be some kind of magic between using a Grado cartridge, the Platinum 3, with a Grado headphone, the RS-1X. That somehow together the two of them would be it'd be mind-blowing. And you know what? I didn't actually feel that. I thought, I just listened to them separately. I didn't think that they didn't quite gel together in the way I imagined them to. They sounded good, but I was expecting some sort of the combination of the two would rise to the occasion, and it'd be like, no, it didn't. They sounded good, but they didn't change my way of life. Something like that. No, that they didn't do. So I guess it's time for, so Steve, what do you really think? Well, I think I've said a lot of what I really think. I do have an affinity for Grado since it's the hometown team, so to speak. The fact that Grado has been here for nearly 70 years is kind of staggering to me, that they've been building cartridges here that long. Wow. But in terms of the nuts and bolts of what do I actually think of these products, I think the headphones are so unique sounding in the headphone world that there are people that gravitate towards the Grado sound of headphones and just love, love, love it. And there's people who say, I don't get it, I want to hear Sennheisers or Audizies or Hi-Fi Men or something, right? It's a polarizing sound of their headphones, and either you're in it and you instantly gravitate towards it, or you say, I'm not so sure what's going on here. Both are valid. As for the cartridge, I think the cartridge is a more universal choice. I think in some ways the Platinum 3 is kind of like the poor man's Koetsu, the moving coil cartridge company that makes far more expensive cartridges. So the Platinum 3 is just a ball, you know, it just lights up. You put that stylus in the groove and you're like, whoa, here we are, the party's about to begin. This is fun. This is a let the good times roll kind of sound. So I was 100% in. And speaking of 100%, it is now time for the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. This one comes from Stuart. He is in Reno, Nevada, and he bought his entire system from thrift stores and estate sales, and the whole shebang cost less than $85, though he had to pay $90 to repair the cassette mechanism. Anyway, the system consists of a Technics SL1200 receiver, which has that built-in cassette deck. It's a 30 watt per channel receiver. It's connected to a Sonos ZP120 where he runs Amazon Music and Bandcamp apps. Then there's also a Yamaha CDC 665, which is a 5-disc CD carousel changer, but it's not in the picture. The speakers are a pair of Infinity Reference 2000.3s, and hidden in the corner of the room is a Yamaha YST FSW 150 compact subwoofer, but it's not in the picture. He says it may not be the greatest sounding system in the world, but it's got an incredible cool factor, and everyone he shows it to loves it. Thanks, Stuart. We are back. We are back, and my name is Steve Guttenberg, and I am the Audiophiliac. Thank you so much for being here. And if you like what I'm doing here on the channel, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. Join the over 204,000 people who from all over the world come together here on this channel and communicate with each other. A lot of audiophiles feel isolated. Their friends, their relatives, they don't get it. Their coworkers, they're like, it's kind of weird you're into this audio thing. But here, you're among friends. So it is a community. And we meet in the comments below the video. So I'm very happy about that. I'm very proud of that. You guys are good. You guys are good people. Anyway, speaking of good people, I'd like you to consider checking out my Patreon, which can be found at patreon.com/audiophiliac, and there is a link to that in the description below. And with that, I can say my work here is, at last, complete. Thank you again for watching, and I really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.